We've outlined the context of what happened yesterday, but perhaps you can tell us yourself. Let's start with a brief explanation of why you were there, and maybe you can also tell us about the work of the Action SA Society of South Africa.
Yes, thank you, Bongani. I think let's start with that, the latter. I think I want to use a story of a lady called Sipukazi Boy. Sipukazi was murdered at the end of 2021. She was dismembered and she was set alight in a trolley bin just outside of Mbekweni in Paarl in the Western Cape. And she gave rise to a model that we launched later in 2021 around December, where we started overseeing gender-based violence murders and rape cases and child murder and rape cases where we often see that conviction rates are less, well, most of the time are less than 5%. So we built a model to really do case oversight, but to also assist with the investigation where not only resources, but also political will is sometimes lacking. And so far it's going well. So in terms of Gugulethu yesterday, we've got one or two cases there. We've actually got more cases in Khayelitsha, Mitchells Plain, and the rest of the Cape Flats. But we attended because we've been mandated by families who lost loved ones there to assist them with decent prosecution. And that's the reason why I called out Bheki Cele yesterday, because he was contradicting the Constitution, speaking about political matters. And I just said to him, but look, sir, you are failing in your own constitutional mandate, because tonight these brave women in Gugulethu have to patrol the streets alone whilst you have 6 cars guarding you and you've got a whole list of bodyguards walking around you.
And I beg your pardon, let me be correct here. I said Action SA when in fact you are Action Society SA, just to make that distinction. And of course I would imagine, Ian, you're not associated with the political party at all, are you?
No, we're a civil rights group. We focus mainly on gender-based violence. We've been campaigning very hard about the DNA backlog, which you know has really denied justice to many people, and also the Convicted Offender Amendment Bill, which showed us that over the last 4 years, almost 100,000 murderers and rapists were freed without having given any DNA samples.
Presumably then, everyone at that meeting would want the issue of crime addressed. How did things get so out of hand?
It was interesting because when I spoke, I was cheered on by a lot of people, and there was a small table of ANC members sitting in the front on the left of the hall, and I was sitting at the back. And when Cele started shouting at me, let me take 2 steps back. So I waited my turn. I was the 13th speaker yesterday. I was third in the second round of spokespeople. And I then said what I had to say. And when he was doing the conclusion of the entire session, he came on and he basically said that I think of him as a garden boy. And I refuse to be called a racist or to be called someone that's grandstanding for politics. So I stood up and I said, I did not say that. You need to retract that. And then he told me to shut up. And I said to him, I will not shut up and I will not stand back for you to speak to me that way. I spoke with you directly. I don't mind straight debate and I don't mind direct discussion. But don't accuse me of something that I'm not. I wouldn't be in Gugulethu if I was any of the things that he accused me of. And he really didn't like that.
We played a clip earlier of some of that exchange between yourself and the minister. And one of the things you said is that you wouldn't stand for his nonsense. Do you not think that perhaps an inference from how you addressed him may have been made in terms of how he then responded?
Well, when I did my discussion, I said I'm tired of his political nonsense. I said that twice, and then he said he sat and listened to my nonsense when he went on his rant, and my response was actually, I just said I will stand my ground. I will not sit down when you tell me to sit down, and I will also not keep quiet, because I feel it's unfair that he gets the conclusion and he can try and embarrass someone, as he's done in many of these meetings before. And all I did was state facts. I did not get involved in a political discussion, and he didn't like the fact that we discussed facts. And he can't argue those facts, because tonight the same thing will happen. In fact, yesterday, within a kilometre from where the meeting was, 2 female victims were hijacked. 2 of our investigators happened to be on the road behind them to assist them with the police afterwards. And what if those 30 cops that spent their time removing me yesterday were actually combating crime?
So you're saying there he is with his fancy motorcade and bodyguards, basically out of touch. Is that what got under his skin?
Absolutely. I said to him, Minister of Police, dear sir, I firstly invite you to come and patrol these streets without your bodyguards, and secondly, you've got a problem because you are removed from the reality that the majority of us face in South Africa. And I think the poorer communities especially are incredibly exposed to extremely violent crime.
A lot of focus will be paid to his comments, the shut up thing and the get out of here. But also you're saying you were accosted by his officers at that meeting. They booted you out basically of that gathering. We played a clip of your exchange with those officers earlier on. That also should concern us.
It was quite remarkable. I must say I've never been picked up by so many men at once. So it was quite something. But jokes aside, I think it goes to show what a long way it's going to need to go to really recover our police service in South Africa. We've got a serious crisis, and I think, unfortunately, the way that Cele and the police behaved yesterday just once again indicated that the police are being abused for political gain by certain political elite. And I think that's unfair, Bongani, because there are many people, and I saw that in Gugulethu yesterday, people that are complaining about the same things that they complained about 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago at the same type of session, and nothing was done. So I really believe that these sessions are sugar-coated, and we need to get back to basics to solve the policing issue.
Not quite your type. Are you going to be pressing charges?
We're discussing that with our legal team this morning. Yesterday I was flooded with questions about that, and I just said I want to just chill out a bit and really get my thoughts straight. I don't want to just jump to conclusions, but yes, we will be taking steps. What they are exactly, I'm not sure yet. We will be approaching IPID, definitely, and the rest we will communicate in due time.
Just for our listeners' understanding, one of the issues you took to the minister was what you claim is a lack of understanding of the law with respect to neighborhood watches versus community policing forums.
Yeah, so yesterday he said that neighbourhood watches aren't constitutionally mandated, only CPS are, and I corrected him. I said, but sir, you do not understand your own policy framework, because the policy framework of community policing forums clearly indicates that community policing forums were never meant to be operational structures. They are forums, it's a roundtable forum discussion where all the different entities, including neighbourhood watches, can come together to combat crime. And the police, in their own community policing mandate, clearly indicate that they must work, and this is part of the Police Service Act as well, clearly shows that they must cooperate with anybody that tries to combat crime within the framework of the law. So he cannot claim some kind of monopoly on crime. What disappointed me yesterday is he also spoke down on local law enforcement and metro police. And I think that's irrelevant, because those police members also risk their lives every day, and it shouldn't be which uniform they wear. It's the fact that they wear a uniform and that they are brave. We should be respecting all of them.
He basically said, "You're white, shut up."
Yeah, I must be honest, Bongani, I wasn't expecting anything else from Minister Cele. I've been called many things by his department before, and I'm really not going to get involved in a race debate. To me, it's about crime. In the Gugulethu community, more than 60 people have been shot and killed since around December, and that's where my fight is at. So he can call me whatever he likes. I'm the one spending time with the people on the ground. If he doesn't like that, grow up. I'm not going to get involved.
I wonder if he even has those stats at his fingertips. Ian Cameron, appreciate your time. Director of Community Safety at Action Society SA.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.